Okay, this is my first round game from the North American Open held in Las Vegas, December the 26th through December 30th. First game was at 6 p.m. on December 26th. And here we go. E4. I responded with E4. He went with C4. This is a stonewall variation. I wasn't too uncomfortable with it. Played knight F6. He responded D3, which is fine. He's setting up his stone wall. The idea is to get this knight to D5, and he wants it to sit there for almost the entire game. My idea is I want to hold back playing this knight to C6 because I want to be able to play C6 with a pawn to keep his knight from coming into D5. We'll see how well that works out. I played my bishop out just using basic development strategy here. He went with G4. Now this is the fourth move. He's playing very aggressively. Why I want to avoid, even though I don't consider this to be a very strong move, it can become a strong move if I should castle to the king's side. Once he made pawn to G4, I already made my decision. I'm not castling to the king's side. I'm going to try to develop my queenside pieces and castle queenside. Now right here, I played an immediate D5. My thinking here is now I'm threatening to capture this pawn, and he cannot take back immediately, because if he does capture back immediately, I take it with my knight, and then I threaten to fork his rook and his queen. He'll have to defend with the knight, and I thought that there was another advantage there. Doesn't seem to be. What he did was he played pawn to G5, attacking my knight. I played G4, threatening the fork. He played H3. Now, since he got in this position anyway, it might have been better for him to just take it D4. At least he'd have a pawn for it. Now he gives me the opportunity to capture, so I captured D takes E. I could have went D takes C, but I thought D takes E was better. If I take this way, he has the checking and pick it up like that. I don't know, but this, no, the knight defends there. He went with rook to G1. Now he's attacking the knight. So rook takes, bishop takes, queen takes, two pieces for the rook will be good for him. But he left this pawn unprotected. Now I have two pawns. I'm ahead by two pawns. All I really want to do now is exchange off pieces and win the endgame. Plays rook to G3. Right now I can go knight checks, rook takes, pawn takes, queen takes. I'd be ahead at least one pawn and the exchange, which is enough to win the game. But I check, his king moves up. Now things get kind of complicated. I probably could mate this king in the center of the board, but it might involve some deep calculations and trying to determine where to make a sacrifice at. I didn't want to do all that, especially when it appears the knight takes bishop, keeps me ahead of material, and starts to simplify the game. Bishop to E3. I'm threatening to capture because this pawn will end up being pent. The pawn can't capture here because again it's pent. But I also thought that if I develop with the knight, that stops the check that will free up an exchange here. So the knight development might have been better. But instead of taking the check here, he went with e2. I think that just gives me more of an advantage. I go with queen d7. I'm threatening, and this is what you want to do. You want to threaten something, forcing him to make a move to respond to it so that he can't develop his king side. I'm sorry, his queen side pieces. Knight to g2. And that gives you another sign that there's a good chance that you have a better position or playing a better game if his pieces are moving backwards. I decided to take the pawn now, so now I'm definitely going to be up by 2 pawns even if he captures the other pawn, which he doesn't. He's trying to complicate the game because he knows he's down in material, so he's threatening to win the rook over here. I decided that I really don't have to worry about that. If he takes, I can always stop it by just putting my queen there, exchanging off queens, which is what I really want. The bishop allows for this pawn to be captured, and my threat is really bishop takes pawn, discovered check on the king. Plays knight to d2, protecting that pawn, but also blocking in his bishop and his knight. I'm sorry, bishop and his rook. I've completed my development. All I have to do now is castle. He plays right here. He intends to attack my castle, but he can't do it because of the pin on that pawn to the rook. I go ahead and castle. Now all my development is complete, and I'm castled, and I have control of the center. He goes, takes pawn back. Now I'm up by 2 pawns, but there's a problem with taking that pawn back because it's in the center of the board. I control the center of the board, and I'm already castled. My king is safe. His king is exposed. There's a good chance that I have an advantage here if I can find it. And I thought that the simplest advantage would be to take another pawn. So now I'm up by 3 pawns. He didn't see that because I believe he thought that queen takes queen would give him that piece. Rook takes queen, and as I did my analysis, you always want to look deeper into position than your opponent. Bishop takes, I take, I'm still 3 pawns up. That's exactly what happened. Once you go into a variation, sometimes it's hard to stop. You gotta finish what you started. And so a lot of the pieces are off the board, and he's still 3 pawns down. He attacks my knight. Now he's 4 pawns down with check. King attacks rook. Now I'm trying to exchange off rooks. He goes ahead and exchanges them. Now he's 4 pawns down in a very simplified position. So he played on. Now my idea at this point is that these 2 pawns, even though they're on black, they minimize the mobility of this bishop. So once I start pushing this pawn forward to a queen, this bishop isn't going to be able to help stop that pawn. d2 threatening my bishop. Rook 8 protecting the bishop and also threatening a discovered check. Avoids the discovered check. I'm threatening check and capture the bishop. He stops me from bringing my rook in. And now the knight blocks the rook from protecting the queening square. These pawns prevent this bishop from lending assistance. So I decide it's time to start moving my pawn forward. And now I think he changed his mind. He was going to stop it with the knight, but now it's too late. So he intends to move the king around. my my knight comes into action to try to prevent his king from attacking my pawn. I don't think he looked closely at the position because he attacked the pawn anyway. Yes, he wins that pawn, but check on the king. King takes the pawn. Knight takes the rook. So now he's a rook and 3 pawns down. He makes the decision to resign. Okay, that's round 1. Waiting for round 2.